What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today in this video, guys, we're going to talk about the father of decentralized liquidity. This is Vader. They are mixing several unique and novel concepts that are prominent in DeFi like thorchain, Olympus Dow, Luna, just to name a few. We're going to go ahead and break down this protocol, talk about some of the features, and I want to phrase it like this. Have you guys ever gotten in a car with your kids and you're like, all right, guys, we're all hungry. Where are we going to eat? Subway, McDonald's, Taco Bell. Bro, I ain't riding in the car with you. Chick-fil-A, you guys get the point. Everyone says a random name, and it's like, okay, we're going to go to Chick-fil-A. Oh, I didn't want that plate. Oh, dude, you're just lucky you're eating. But then comes Golden Corral. Oh, yeah, I could do Golden Corral. They got pizza. Yeah, they got a burger, they got chicken, they got salad, they got everything. Okay, cool, let's do it. That's what I look at Vader as. It's literally a smorgasbord of everything put together, the best of DeFi all in one. Now let's break down these different concepts. I got my handy dandy ADHD notes, and I got the website for us as well. But yeah, I'm probably going to go back to the notes here and there, but I'm not going to really have it on here because I know what this stuff is. Here are some of the features. The first is token swaps. So the reason why Vader is interesting is because all of these tokens are paired with the USDV token, which is the quote-unquote stablecoin. If you guys didn't know how that was minted, here's a quick infographic on how this is done. I'm going to shrink my face because it's kind of big. So as you can see here, this is how Vader works. You have the quote-unquote Vader token, which is also known as, well, which can be seen as Luna. And this is burnt to mint USDV. This is a quote-unquote stable coin. And this stable coin can be deposited into pools, or you can use it in DeFi. It is up to you what you want to do. What's really interesting is how the Vader token is released. Actually, this was about 1.5 to 2 years ago. There was a token called VE. And in order to obtain this token, you had to burn Ethereum, like send it to a burn address. The reason why they did this was for a fair distribution. This was a fair launch. There was no VCs, no bigwigs, no big money behind this. This was literally a fair launch protocol. I like fair launch because there's no whales. Well, I mean, whales come eventually. But the point is this was fair. I could get in, you could get in, and we could all get in at the same time. And these Vader tokens, if you didn't get the VE, they can be obtained by bonds. What are bonds? Well, previously in farming, if someone wants to release a coin, they say, hey, deposit A coin plus B coin, or aka the farming coin, and deposit it into our pool, and we will pay you in our coin. The problem with that is the APRs are denominated in the farming coin. And when that coin is released at a rapid pace, people will take profits and they will sell, lock in the profits, and that will cause the token price to dump, which will also cause the APRs to dump. So people leave the farms because they were quote-unquote depositing it, aka the protocol was only renting, and they leave. Everything crashes, there's no more TVL, higher slippage, lower rewards, cascading effect. Everyone is like, win McDonald's, and it's over. Then you have something like Olympus Dow or bonds, or something like Vader, what they also took part from Olympus. Hey, you give us this LP token, or aka ETH and Vader, deposit it into our pool, and we will give you some Vader token. Let me show you what the mechanics of that look like. If you go on their DApp, you guys can see here, they have two different pairs. As you can see here, you got bond, and you have Vader ETH. You can literally get it at a discount. So that is what the incentive is for people to bond, is because they can get it at a lower price. So that's why they're interested in bonding. It helps the protocol, people get a lower price, everyone's happy, it's a win-win. Now, going back to explain the token swaps, this is a straightforward pricing because you can have a token paired to ETH, a token paired to Bitcoin, but it's like, wait, I don't even know what the price of this token is compared to ETH. Say the token's worth a penny. That's like saying, yeah, my token is worth 0.000000001 ETH. And then you're like, you could just say a penny. And then I'm like, wow, you're brilliant. So that is the feature of token swaps. It's clear, transparent pricing, and it actually focuses it all into one token, to where since ETH is paired with USDV and Bitcoin is paired with USDV, and both of those tokens share a pool, well, it gives good pricing because you don't have separated liquidity. It's all in the same pair. So it goes through the same token. What do I mean by this? Well, because I swap ETH for USDV, and USDV is swapped for Bitcoin. Whereas if Bitcoin was paired with, let's say, only Ethereum, and I have some XRP and I swap for USDV, well, there's broken liquidity there. Because, well, if I have Bitcoin and XRP and I have Ethereum and USDV, my Ethereum goes to USDV, but now I have this pool of USDV, and down here, Bitcoin and XRP are only trading. I can't trade because it's not one of the pairs. But if everything's paired in USDV, I'm swapping my one token for that one token, which is USDV, and everyone else is paired with USDV. So I can now swap with them as well. Easy token swaps. Now I want to go over slit-based fees. What are slit-based fees? Okay, so you can look at slit-based fees like this. Say I put $100 into the pool. Now, if a trader coming to trade trades $100 into that pool as well, there's going to be some massive slippage. It doesn't matter which way he buys it because I have to put 50-50 inside that pool. So what will happen is this guy buys $100 of Bitcoin, whereas the other side is $50 in USDC, and it'll flood the pool with USDC. So it'll make the value of USDC go down, whereas the value of Bitcoin goes way up. Because remember, it's 50-50, and if this guy comes to buy all the Bitcoin out of that pool, or a lot of it, it will cause the price to be, okay, now we have 75 USDC to 25 Bitcoin. So now Bitcoin is actually 25% more expensive because there's less Bitcoin in the pool and more USDC. So it's kind of a novel concept, but just so you can understand, TLDR on it is the lower liquidity in the pool, the higher slip-based fees, or the higher the trading fees are, because that compensates for the impermanent loss. However, the opposite end of the spectrum is true as well, because if the pool has a lot of liquidity in there, then the fees are going to be lower. Why is that? Well, because someone can trade a substantial amount of money and not have an effect on impermanent loss because the pool is strong, it's got a lot of liquidity in there, and it could sustain. It's a big thing I talk about all the time with stablecoins is faking it till you make it. Because red button, green button, it doesn't matter. Red button means down, green button means up. Like you buy, sell type of thing, or I mean sell, buy, and that causes the different price action. It doesn't matter if it's a stable coin, an altcoin, or a Bitcoin or Ethereum. It really does not matter. It's the same concept. So this is where it's important to understand if you have deep liquidity, someone can press those buttons more often with a little bit less money or a middle amount of money because there is deeper liquidity. It's not going to affect the price as much. Because when that red button is pressed, that red button, let's say he sold $100 and there's $1 million in that pool, that $100 is spread throughout that whole $1 million. But if there's only $100 in that pool and I sell $100 worth of that token, it's all denominated just to that $100. So it's not spread evenly. Something you can keep in mind. Now another feature of Vader is going to be liquidity mining. This is going to be incentives for LPing in the pools. This was seen on thorchain in the early days, but this may have a hindrance on the token price. Time will tell. We'll see what happens. But all in all, it actually is a bit healthy because it's a good way to help distribute more of the coin and bring more liquidity. Why does it bring more liquidity? Because they come for incentives, it gives better prices, gives more fees to the farmers, gets rid of the liquidity mining incentive eventually, because if you have more people coming over providing liquidity, you're going to give really, really good prices. More traders will come over because you have really, really good prices. They pay more fees. The fees eventually, if it comes to it, will be able to sustain. Take a look at Uniswap. Uniswap was able to provide liquidity incentives and then get enough volume on there to where now people just LP to get the fees. Now next is minting synthetic assets. So this, you can actually mint any synthetic asset that you want, it's really just paired with the USDV. And this is important because if you were to open up, let's say, a Tesla on the market, the problem with opening up a Tesla coin is you have to pair it through each and every token, and you have to make sure you have good liquidity there. Now, with Vader, you only have to pair it with USDV and be paired with everything else because everything else is paired in the same token. That's why it's easy to do it, and that's why you see Synthetics. Synthetics does something like this as well, pairing it with SUSD. Now there is impermanent loss protection, but this is after 100 days, so this is similar to thorchain, which is pretty neat to have. These are some of the points you need to understand with a algo stablecoin. 1, it needs to be decentralized. 2, it needs to have demand, aka rides or an incentive to have it. 3, it needs to be efficient, and over collateralized tokens are not efficient if you think DAI is efficient. It is not. If you're having to deposit, let's say, $1,000 worth of a token to spit out only $700 worth of another, that is not very efficient. Just imagine if that's how it was in the real world. Like you had to lock up $1,000 worth of gold just to open up $700. It's not efficient. That's why the dollar is literally just a promise. It's a one-to-one, hey, look, this is our promise, this is what it is. It's a promise for $1 worth of gold. That's all it is. And it's doing what it does. But you can see it still is sticking pretty well, and it's very efficient. Vader does have an incentive to use it. This is actually, in order to participate in the LP pools, you have to have USDV. So in order to participate, you have to have, well, USDV. And how do you get that? From Vader. Now, second is it is decentralized. It's actually built on the Ethereum network. I'm not poo-pooing on Tara. Tara is another stable coin that is built on the Cosmos blockchain. I love Tara, actually. I love Luna. Luna and USD are fire sauce. But there are two problems with Tara. The first is the bridge. The bridge, in order to get onto Ethereum, is centralized. It's run by Terraform Labs. And the stakers on Luna, a small amount of the nodes, I think it's like the top 10, they control about 30% of the Luna network. Of course, they're working on decentralizing. Vader and USDV are built on Ethereum, which is more decentralized than Terra. It just comes with time. So something to keep in mind. And it is efficient. It's one-to-one. You burn $1 worth of Vader to mint $1 worth of USDV. Now, like I mentioned to you, I was breaking down Vader. I want to sum these up again. It has thorchain because the LP token assets are paired with USDV. Second, it provides slip-based fees. Remember, these fluctuate based on the liquidity in the pool. So the lower the liquidity, the higher the fees. The higher the liquidity, the lower the fees. Now, another thing to keep in mind is there's also impermanent loss protection, but this is after 100 days. This creates a better trading environment because you have lower slippage and all the assets are paired to the same asset. So it's not broken liquidity. Now, Olympus Dow is another feature of Vader. So instead of renting these assets, aka just saying, hey, deposit this token with this token, and then we'll pay you some Vader tokens in return, instead it says, hey, give us this token, and we will give you a Vader bond, which will be able to be redeemed within a certain amount of time. If you look on their protocol, it's about 21 days. Now this creates a feedback loop because minting USDV burns Vader. How is that feedback loop created? Well, because if someone mints Vader or they get bonds denominated in Vader, they may want to take profits or participate in the pools. So if they sell into USDV and pair it into the pool, this will then burn more Vader because people need to have Vader burned to mint USDV, and that will create the infinite feedback loop. And the protocol will become an LP itself because now it's slowly purchasing these assets, and those LPs will be earning fees, and they will need to incentivize to get those. Now, the Luna feature, like I mentioned to you guys, is it burns one-to-one. Here's the unique element of Vader, and it's around the USDV and Vader token design. Here's an example. I did the math, and if you mint 30 million USDV, that would require burning 1 billion Vader tokens. At current prices, that reduces the circulating supply by 22%. Let me show you guys Vader right now. So literally, if this token, like with this market cap, I remember looking at Luna around this market cap. Actually, it was a little bit less. But if Vader was to mint 30 million tokens, which really isn't that much, there's 10 billion UST tokens. So 30 million really isn't that much. And that would cause a burn of 1 billion Vader tokens. How many Vader tokens are in existence? Well, there's 25 billion. But right now there's 4.1 billion. So it's kind of like a meme, the 25, because that's not really in circulation. But let's go ahead and be fair, and we'll denominate with the 25. So that would still depreciate the token supply to about 5%. So that's still a significant amount for only 30 million USDV. Now, just like Luna UST, Vader is a variable counterpart to the stable asset USDV. By modulating the supply, the Vader's price increases as the demand for stable coins increase. So it's literally just like Luna. But I want to show you guys the power of Vader in a picture. Here is a normal token. This is for governance tokens. So this is for like Trader Joe. This is for sushi. And let's take a look. So we have TVL on top, which is right here. Then you have the fee revenue, which is the fees from the tokens. And then you give the LP cut, aka the people depositing into the pool. Then you have the protocol cut, which is like the devs and so on. And then this is the cash flow to the governance token holders. You know, like us, if we hold Vader. Well, that sucks. Okay, well, let me show you what Vader does now. Vader, here's our TVL. This is the infographic of our TVL. Then we have our fee revenue. This is our funnel. Looks great. Then we have the protocol cut. And then we have the cash flow to Vader. See, it gets rid of an extra step. So instead of having this LP cut right here, it now becomes the cash flow to Vader. Because if you remember, we're owning the LPs now. So we're bonding all of the LPs. When someone wants to deposit USDV and like ETH and USDV and Bitcoin, they have to bond the tokens. So now the protocol actually owns the tokens itself, which goes to the Vader holders. So this increases the amount that you actually earn. So you holding Vader actually allows you to hold a share of all the LP assets that are in there. It's a crazy concept to understand, and it's hard to grasp, but just look at it like this. If we have USDV and Bitcoin and USDV and ETH, and literally just name a bunch of random assets, we eventually own them. We all take a share in it. And that diversifies your risk, because instead of just taking on the risk of LPing with just, let's say, a bad coin that literally just got completely and utterly wrecked, is SLP. If we paired ETH with SLP, we would be completely and utterly wrecked. Like, it would just be down only. But if we did like, let's say, what's a good, ETH and Bitcoin, and we were looking to get more ETH, you'd be like making out gangbusters. Mind-blowing, and I love just showing this infographic. This just sums it up in a nutshell. This is what Vader is looking to do. There's several other concepts involved in this. And yes, the team is Anon, so that is something to keep in mind as well. I want to show you guys the quick overview of the tokenomics. As you can see, this was the VETH holder. 50% is going to Vader liquidity mining incentives. 10% to the team allocation. 10-year or 2-year linear vesting, which is nice. And then you also have 10% for the ecosystem growth. Now, I already showed you guys this infographic, but go ahead and pause the video, look at this screen, and let this sink in, as well as this. Let this sink in. This is interesting. I mean, just look at this. This is what you're getting before, but now you cut out the middleman and create more revenue for the holders of the Vader token. Now, I want to go over this as well, because I was talking about Tara, but here's the difference between Tara and Vader. Yes, Tara does have some use cases for UST. It's literally required for using the Vader protocol. Now, you have trust-dependent backing and utility-driven backing. Vader has both of these, whereas Luna does have some utility-driven backing, but the trust-dependent backing is 100% there for both of these, like period, hands down. because it's one-to-one, it's algo backed. It's literally, I believe in it, you believe in it, so we both believe in it. Now, like I mentioned to you, Vader, there's always going to be demand for it because despite it whether or not they're going to need USDV to pair with the other tokens. So that is something to keep in mind on this with the utility-driven backing as well as the trust-dependent backing. I think that sums up Vader protocol up in a nutshell. The devs are anon. There is one that is doxed. You can find him on Twitter. But this protocol is a stablecoin play in my book. I'm very bullish on stablecoins. You will probably see the 2021 video, or I'm sorry, 2022 video on some of the plays that I think I'm very bullish on this year. So time will tell. We'll see what happens, but stablecoins is definitely one of them. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys smash up that like. And if you guys want to hear different concepts and hear videos like this and things that don't even show on YouTube, there's a link in the description to Patreon that will give you access to the Discord. But if you guys like concepts like this, link is in the description below. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and let's go ahead and leave you guys with a wisdom one-liner. We mixing it up today, baby. Private Chapter 21:21. Whoever pursues righteousness and love finds life, prosperity, and honor. I agree with that, man. Just think about it. Be righteous. You get love, prosperity, and honor, man. All right, so let's go and sum up Vader protocol with their roadmap as well. And I got my handy dandy notes. So the first is they've had audits completed, Vader token listing, and USDV minting and single-sided staking for USDV are coming out. And of course, you got bond sales and so on. Now, some things on the roadmap for 2022 is partnership integrations, collateral debt leverage positions, cross-chain deployments, which is super interesting, the DAO transition, and expansion of asset pools, treasury partnerships, sponsored liquidity partnerships, as well as sponsored bond sales partnerships. So they do have a couple things on the roadmap, which is pretty interesting to see. I'm kind of interested to see how this protocol rolls out. And I want to summarize with this. You know me and stablecoin, there's plenty of room for more than just one stablecoin, especially if the main decentralized asset that you have, I guess you can say that's algo backed, is only on Cosmos. There's plenty of room for having one on Ethereum. There really is no full algo stablecoin on ETH that anyone really actually uses. I mean, sure, they came up with many different ones, but there's several ones that are not being used. Now, that's important to understand as well. There's a chance that this does not get traction. There's also a chance that the protocol gets hacked, and also the team is not doxed. So this is a risk to some people because some people like to see who the team are and hold them accountable, but it's just something to keep in mind as well. You guys can also catch me on tweeters. It's at rent a home fast, like literally at rent a home fast.